The soft hum of the heater filled the quiet bedroom, creating a cocoon of warmth against the chilly, early morning air. Shota Aizawa blinked, slowly, his dark eyes adjusting to the dark limb creeping between the curtains. It had been a long night for him, grading papers until his head ached, but he found comfort in the soft presence beside him. You were curled into his chest, your breathing steady as you slept on, completely unaware of his gaze. He smiled, his fingers absent-mindedly brushing a strand of hair from your face. His moment of peace, however, was abruptly interrupted as he shifted and felt something odd beneath him. His brows furrowed in confusion, and he carefully moved away from you to investigate. Sitting up, Aizawa glanced down to the sheets and noticed the unmistakable dark stain spreading across the pale fabric. It didn't take him long to piece together what had happened. Oh. The sound was soft, not judgmental or annoyed, more of a realization. He looked back at you, still sleeping peacefully, and decided against waking you right away. This wasn't something to be embarrassed about. He didn't want you to feel any unnecessary shame. Slipping out of bed with practiced ease, Aizawa moved to grab a fresh set of sheets from the closet. He placed them on a nearby chair, then padded to the bathroom for a wet towel and some cleaning supplies. As you walked back into the room, he noticed you beginning to stir. Morning, sleepyhead," he murmured, his voice still low and rough from sleep. You blinked, groggily, sitting up and stretching. "Morning," your words said as you caught sight of Aizawa sitting near the bed with a damp cloth in hand. It only took a few seconds for you to notice the dark stain on the sheets and panic flashing through your face. "Oh my god, Shota, I'm so sorry." "Hey," he interrupted gently, settling down the towel and moving to sit beside you, his large hand reaching out to cup your cheek, grounding you. "It's not a big deal. These are just sheets. You didn't do anything wrong." Your face flushed with embarrassment as you tried to process his calm reaction. "But..." "No buts," he said firmly. His tone remained soft. "This happens. It's normal." You hesitated before nodding, though your fingers still fidgeted nervously with the hem of your shirt. Aizawa pulled you into his chest, sighing. His arms were secure as they wrapped around you. "You don't have to feel bad about this," he reassured. "I've handled far worse than just some stained sheets, believe me." His attempt at humor earned a smile and a small chuckle from you. He smiled against your hair. "There we go. No more apologizing. Okay?" "Okay," you whispered, relaxing slightly from the touch and the voice of him. After a few more moments, he pulled back, nudging you gently. "Why don't you hop in the shower? I'll take care of the bed." But I can help." "I've got it, Liane. Go take care of yourself. I'll bring you tea once you're done." He interrupted you. You hesitated, but ultimately nodded, touched by his unwavering support. Aizawa watched as you disappeared into the bedroom. The sound of running water soon filled the air. With a quiet sigh, he turned his attention back to the bed. Stripping the sheets, he tossed them into the laundry basket and quickly wiped down the mattress with a damp cloth. It didn't take him long to replace the bedding. His movements were efficient and methodical. Years of living alone made him surprisingly adept at household tasks. By the time he emerged from the shower, looking fresher than ever but still a little sheepish, Aizawa was sitting on the kitchen table with 2 mugs of tea. He waved over at you, a small smile and patting the chair beside him. "Feeling better?" he asked as you sat down. "Yeah," you admitted, wrapping your hands around the warm mug. "Thanks, Shota." You thanked him. "You don't need to thank me," he said simply, reaching out to squeeze your knee. "This is what we do for each other, right?" You nodded, a small smile playing on your lips. His calm, practical demeanor had eased your initial embarrassment, and now you felt nothing but gratitude for the man beside you. "I'm lucky to have met you," you said quietly, your eyes meeting his. His lips quirked into a small smirk. He leaned closer, his forehead brushing against yours. Damn right you are. You laughed, and the tension from earlier melted away completely. Aizawa's eyes softened as he looked at you, his thumb tracing small circles on your knee. Seriously though, he added after a moment, you don't ever need to feel ashamed about things like this. I care about you, and all of you. That includes moments like these. Your chest tightened at his words. The sincerity in his voice was overwhelming in the best sort of way. I love you, Shota. His smile widened just a fraction, and he leaned in, pressing a tender kiss to your forehead. I love you too. The two of you sat there for a while, sipping tea and enjoying each other's presence. Aizawa's company was a constant reminder that you didn't need to face life's little mishaps alone. The day passed by quietly. It was a hum of normalcy settling between you two. And after the morning's incident, your disnature Shota didn't make a big deal of it. And by now you were grateful for his patience and understanding. He had spent most of the morning grading papers at the dining table while you curled up with a book on the couch. By the evening, the two of you had transitioned into your usual routine. Dinner was simple but satisfying, and now you two were seated on the couch together, the glow of the television casting soft shadows across the room. Aizawa had one arm draped across the back of the couch, his other hand idly scrolling through his phone while you leaned against him, your head resting against his shoulder. The warmth at the moment was comforting, but you couldn't help but notice he kept glancing at you out of the corner of his eye. What is it? You asked softly, tilting your head to look at him. He hesitated before suddenly laying his phone down and turning his full attention to you. How are you feeling? You blinked, a little bit caught off guard. I'm fine. Why? Because I know today might have been a lot for you, he replied, his voice gentle but firm. And I know you tend to brush things off when they seem to bother you. You opened your mouth to protest, but his knowing look stopped you. With a sigh, you sat up straighter, giving him a small, appreciative smile. I'm okay, Shota. Really, I was a bit embarrassed at first, but you've been nothing but amazing, and I am lucky to have you. His dark eyes softened as he reached out to tuck a strand of hair behind your ear. You don't have to thank me for caring about you. That's just part of the deal when you're with me. You felt a blush creep up on the back of your neck, but before you could even respond, Aizawa's hand slipped to your back, drawing you closer. His touch was steady and grounding, a silent reassurance. Still, he continued, if there's anything you need, painkillers, a heating pad, something sweet, just tell me. You don't have to toughen it out. Your heart swelled at his words, the genuine care in his voice making you feel more loved than you ever did. You nodded, leaning into his embrace. I'll let you know if I need anything, he said sheepishly. Good, he murmured, pressing a soft kiss at the top of your head. For a while, the two of you sat there in silence, the sound of the TV filling the room. Aizawa's fingers traced lazily on your arms, making patterns, and you found yourself completely relaxed with him. Eventually, he shifted, his hand leaving your arm, and he stood up. Where are you going? You asked, watching him with curiosity. To grab the heating pad, he said simply, as if it was the most obvious thing in the world. And some chocolate, just in case. You stared at him and your chest tightened. How would you gotten so lucky? When he returned, he handed you the heating pad first. It was already warm from the microwave. With a content sigh, you placed it on your lower belly, feeling the soothing heat seep into your muscles. And then he set down a small plate of chocolate and a glass of water on the coffee table before settling back onto the couch beside you. You don't have to do all that, you said softly, your voice tinged with gratitude. I know, he replied, his tone a matter of fact. But I wanted to. He smiled, reaching out to take his hand, his fingers intertwined with yours. Automatically, and the two of you sat there, hand in hand, and the evening began to stretch on. Later that night, as you prepared the bed, you couldn't help but feel the lingering sense of self-consciousness from the morning's incident behind you. But the thought of it happening again made you hesitant. Aizawa seemed to notice your unease as he pulled back the covers and climbed into bed. "What's on your mind?" he asked. "Nothing," you said, all too quickly, which only made him raise an eyebrow. "Lion," he said, his voice laced with gentle authority. You sighed and sat back down on the edge of the bed. What if it happens again?" "Then it happens," he said simply, leaning back against the headboard. "And we deal with it. No drama, no shame, no big deal." "But it's embarrassing," you admitted, your voice barely above a whisper. "Why?" he asked. His tone was curious rather than dismissive. "Because it feels messy and out of my control," you said, struggling to find the right words. Aizawa reached out, his hand resting against your shoulder. "Messy doesn't scare me. I've dealt with everything from rogue villains to students who refuse to listen. Trust me, a little blood on the sheets isn't even in the top 100 of things I've had to handle." You couldn't help but laugh at that, his dry humor easing some of your tension. He gave you a small, satisfied smirk before patting the spot beside him. "Come on, get in bed. I'm not letting you overthink about this all night." He smiled, and you hesitated only for a moment before sliding into the covers. Aizawa immediately pulled you close, his arms draping around your waist as you nestled against his chest. His heartbeat was steady beneath your ear, a calming rhythm that helped quieten your thoughts. "I mean it, YN," he murmured, his lips brushing against your hair. "You don't have anything to be embarrassed about. You're safe here with me. Always." His words were a balm to your anxious heart. You found yourself relaxing in his embrace. "Thank you, Shota," you whispered, your voice full of genuine emotion. "Always," he repeated, his hand tracing slow circles on your back. As the two of you began to drift off, you couldn't help but marvel at the depth of his love and understanding. With Aizawa by your side, you truly felt cared for and seen, and safe. The room was dim, the glow of the bedside lamp casting soft, warm shadows over the both of you. Aizawa's steady presence beside you felt like a shield against the insecurities that lingered in the back of your mind. He always had a way of grounding you, his quiet strength reassuring you in a way that words never could. But tonight, something about his unyielding support made your chest ache with a mix of gratitude and vulnerability. You shifted slightly in his arms, your fingers playing with the hem of his shirt as if trying to distract yourself. "Shota?" you whispered after a few moments, unsure if he was still awake. His voice was a low rumble, his breath soft against your hair. "Do you ever, I don't know, worry about me being too much?" The words felt ridiculous as they left her mouth, but they had been simmering inside you all day. In the quiet intimacy of your shared space, they refused to stay buried. Aizawa didn't respond right away, but you felt him shift, his arms tightening slightly around your waist. He tilted his head to look down at you, his dark eyes sharp and focused despite the late hour. "Why would you think that?" You shrugged, unable to meet his gaze. I know I can be a lot sometimes, like today. I don't want you to feel like you have to care for me all the time." He was silent for a beat, and then you braced yourself for a response that never came. He sat up slightly. "YN," he began, his voice steady and deliberate. "You're not a burden. Not now, not ever. I'm with you because I want to be, because I care about you. You don't have to hold yourself back or make things easier for me. It's not what I want." You swallowed, your throat tightening with emotion. But no," he interrupted. His tone was firm but not harsh. "Listen to me. I've spent my entire life taking care of people, my students, my coworkers, hell, even myself, when nobody else would. Do you know what I've learned?" You shook your head, but your gaze locked on his. That it's not about keeping score or measuring who's doing more for who. Relationships, real ones, are about showing up for each other. no matter what, and you show up for me every day in ways you don't even realize. Your breath hitched, prickling tears at your eyes. Shota. I mean it, he continued, his thumb brushing against her cheek. You think you're the only one who needs care. You keep me grounded, YN. You remind me that there's more to life than work and exhaustion. You've given me something to come home to, something to look forward for. And that's not something I take for granted. You laughed, tears still prickling at your eyes, but you didn't argue anymore, settling back against the pillows as he adjusted the blanket around you. Aizawa followed suit, his arm dripping around your waist once more, he pulled you close. The quiet settled over you again, but this time it was comfortable, safe, and just light, and not weighing you down.